Hello and welcome back. And we are talking about being tested. I'm almost afraid to talk about this because I'm like, am I talking about this because I'm about to be tested or am I in the middle of a test? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out now. But I'll say over the past week or so, I've been frustrated and I couldn't figure out why. And I'm like, why am I so frustrated? I just was frustrated. I couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing. I was working really hard to try to get some things done and just things weren't adding up. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? In a previous video, I made the point of saying that you feel like in a holding pattern. And it's funny because I was listening to a video yesterday because God has a way of talking to you even when you don't even understand what he's trying to say. And it's like, what is this? And it's like, you're in a holding pattern. Sometimes when you're near your exit point, I heard somebody put it like this. You're in the green room. You're about to go on stage, but you're in the waiting space. And you're like, a performer, before they go on stage, they hear the crowd, everything's going, and they're like, okay, I gotta get ready, I gotta get out there, I gotta do what I gotta do, whatever it is. But your nerves, you're nervous, you're tired, you're frustrated, what have you, especially those performers that had to do a full set, meaning they were practicing for weeks on end, and you hear look at any of the dancing performers. Especially if they do a show that they had to prepare within like a week of the actual location because they got the chance to do the performance only about a week ahead. So they either had to fit their rehearsals in between whatever it was they were doing or what. And they're like, oh. And they're nervous because they're like, I hope this works out right because we hadn't actually planned to have this in there. And they're nervous and they tired because they had to work extremely hard to get that performance set up, and they're hoping they can get out there and just do what's needed. And they're feeling uncomfortable, but it's a test of your ability to be able to operate even in the midst of under pressure. A lot of us have been going through testing in this season. I know somebody, she recently got sick. She's right in the middle of a major thing, and she got sick, and she was like, oh my God, what in the world is happening? Another woman, she got sick while also dealing with an extreme crying period, and she couldn't understand what in the world was going on with her with that because she was that way for a week. She couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, and she was sick all the time, and she was crying, and she was like, what is this? A lot of people go through deliverance in different ways, and sometimes your deliverance looks different. Some people go through bleeding. Some people, and when I say bleeding, maybe it's your time of the month. Some people go through crying periods. Some people go through getting sick. Some people go through flushing out. Some people go through belching. Some people go through passing gas. Some people go through, it's so many different ways that you go through deliverance, and some of it you wouldn't even think that that's what that was. But I believe a lot of God's children are closing up loose ends in this season, and in the midst of them closing up loose ends, they're going through periods of extreme frustration because they're fighting. And it's not even that they're fighting. I was listening to a young woman that is a minister that I follow, and we were in a group chat. Thank God for group chat sometimes, because sometimes we feel like we're going through this alone. And she was talking about how the Lord will be taking you through the deliverance, and you'll feel like, what is this? But it actually is, how do I put it? Your frustration, your anger, all of that is you facing whatever it was that was on your bloodline. And what it is you're not frustrated and angry and tired because you're frustrated, angry, and tired. What it is you're a human being with flesh going through a spiritual fight. But the spiritual fight don't end when you wake up. The spiritual fight is still going on, and your body is exhausted. You're tired. And you know how I know that it's a spiritual thing? When all the people I listen to start talking about the exact same thing. The one minister I've been listening to for over 7 years started talking about it. The other minister, that one was the one that was sick. The other young woman that we did the chat with, she was talking about how she could feel everybody was feeling drained right now. Why? Because it's a spiritual fight. We're coming to the end of a season and we're supposed to go. And there's a lot of people that are saying the move is about to take place and we got to get ready for it. But we're being tested in the midst of it. A young woman that I also listened to, and it just gave me peace because I was that frustrated and that tired as well. And she was talking about how frustrated and tired she was. And I was like, yeah, I totally agree. I was in there listening to what she said. I'm like, yes, girl, I know exactly how that feel. Ooh, what? Right. And she was like, God, why am I going through this? And God was testing her. I'm going to tell you this. The young woman, she almost in her 40s, but she older than me. She released towards the end of last year, there was a spirit going around, and I hate going into spiritual warfare, but spiritually we are fighting against the spirit of a madman spirit, which you have to really pray against, because that spirit can team up with Jezebel, intimidation, what is it? And it's another one. What is the name of that other spirit? Accusation, offense. All of them going to team up together. And they're going to start testing. You're going to start throwing conflict at you. You're going to start testing to see if you're as Christian as you say you are. If you holy and you cuss. I'm not perfect. But I'm not going to do anything imperfect here. I'm going to be real. But you're not going to see me do it here. I'm going to testify to some things I'm going through, but you're not going to see me mess up my witness here. Because you have to be transparent to let people know I'm still human. But you don't have to show how human. As a minister I was listening to, the young woman was talking about how some of her ministry people would not like her if they saw how she was on a normal day-to-day basis. My thing is this, and it's funny because one of the other ministers, she said, if you're not who you are here and off screen, are you real? I feel that I am real. But we all reach our limits. And some of us, we know because we have public platforms. It's like if you have a public platform, you can't sit up there and be acting a daggone fool on your public platform. Does that mean I act foolish? No. But I'm talking about those that be like, well, I'm going to go do this. And I'm going to go do that. And it's like, if you have a public ministry, you cannot be that way, because what it is, it gives off the illusion that you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth, meaning you're doing one thing and saying another, and that is a double-minded man. I should be who I am here just as much as I am off of here. Now, will I get angry? Absolutely. Will I get frustrated? Absolutely. But I'm not going to sit up there and mess up my witness because I'm going to let my anger and my frustration get the best of me. Because even the Lord won't let me do that. Because if I'm angry and I'm frustrated, I'm not supposed to cuss somebody out. That don't mean that I'm not going to have a moment with the Lord by myself. And even if I was married, that don't mean I ain't going to have a moment venting with my spouse just because I need to vent. But I'm not going to sit up there and do it all the time. Because that's not who I am. Because you can't risk ruining your witness. And as of this week, because we are in a state or in this period of being tested, the one thing the enemy's coming after is our witness. He's coming after, okay, how can I trigger this person? If they cuss behind closed doors, can I get you to cuss publicly? No. I've even heard people that weren't even ministers, and what they said that some people get on their last nerves and they be thinking some words, and if them words came out their mouth, they would lose all their witness. We all go through that, but we got to be respectful because as people that are on public platforms, we cannot ruin our witness. Now, it's different if you're sitting up there portraying yourself as this way and you, on the external of your life, are living completely sinful, completely ratchet, completely out there. But we live in a world that, as a Christian, if I walk out in the street and just so happen that I'm wearing something that doesn't agree with what it is that other people perceive a Christian should wear, they will vilify you and throw flames at you and torch, and they will take you in the village square and catch you on fire and hang you for it. And it's like, it's just the blouse. It's just the hair color. It's just the hairstyle. What's wrong with you? These people get religious and righteously indignant like the Pharisees on you over something that is not as important as the fact that you are making a witness. Because I know my life. I know that I know how I desire to dress, and I also know in certain situations I'm aware of certain things. But I also understand, because I am and I have a witness, I'm not going to walk around. I was looking at a woman who wasn't Christian the other day on Instagram, and she had on a dress that was cut out on the side. It was a very nice looking dress. It had showed skin on her hips and her sides, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, now I could never wear that. But I've seen this person, they separate from their spouse and they just went buck wild and they just overly sexually dressing and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just like, what is? And I figured out what spirit they operating under, and I think I know why her and her spouse ended up divorcing, because I think he came to God and she didn't, and they ended up going in two different directions. And you will be tested. You'll be tested in relationship. I'm not married, but I guarantee you, whoever it is that I'm supposed to be, they being tested right now too. Guarantee it. They being tested just as I'm being tested. Because you know what? I'll share you this much. Because I do talk about kingdom marriage. The Lord showed me 4-5 years ago. It was the beginning of 2018, was it? I think it was the beginning of 2018. And it was a dream I had. I saw my kingdom spouse. I saw me on one side, and then I saw my kingdom spouse on the other side. I was seeing two separate things playing out at the exact same time. I was seeing my life playing out through a bunch of series of events, and I was seeing that person's life played out in a series of events. But both of us were being tested the exact same way. I put on a hat, he put on a hat. I was dressed this way, he was dressed similarly in the other way. He was helping somebody do something, I was helping another person do the exact same thing. He was doing something and I was doing the exact same thing. We were being tested in the exact same way, but we were just separate. And I'm like, okay. So understand that if you have a God ordained spouse, they being tested the exact same way you are. That being said, we are all going through tests right now, but the Lord is fighting our battles, and we pass these tests, and we're going to walk into the fullness of what it is God has called us to walk into. It's just going to feel uncomfortable, but walk in it. Walk into it, because the result of you passing the test, whether you're frustrated, whether you're angry, whether you're hungry, whatever it is, some people's tests, they're going through confrontations and they're having to face these battles. I was listening to something the other day, and the woman was saying that this is the time frame where we're going to be tested, we're going to have conflict, we're going to walk through experiences that aren't comfortable to us, because of the fact that this is our time. And over these next couple of months, we're going to see the manifestations of these things, because of the fact that we're shifting and crossing into the things that we're called to walk into. We're being tested so that we can be blessed. Some people have been blessed early. Some people are in the midst of their blessing. It's happening in waves. Sometimes it's week by week waves. Some people are speaking, this week will be the week that you will see it. Some people it's month by month. Some people it'll be before the end of June you're going to receive a release of something. Before the end of July you're going to receive a release of something. Before the end of August you're going to receive the release of something. Before the end of September you're going to receive the release of something. But each time you're going to release, something's going to be released to you. And before you get that release, you're going to go through a period. Maybe it is a frustration. Maybe it is a sickness. The other about 2-3 weeks ago, I wasn't feeling well, and I went through a flushing period. And I was like, what the heck is this? Oh my God. Everything. And then I don't cry like that. But man, when you go through that kind of you feel like it. Then sometimes you go through periods of frustration, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, I'm being attacked. Oh my God, this person is, because what it'll do is you'll end up going through an isolated attack, and you're like, what is this? Don't worry about it. It's just the Lord is bringing to the surface the things that you need to deal with. Sometimes he's testing you with it to see if you'll open the door again, but he's also testing you to show you that I'm bringing it to the surface so that I can destroy it this time, so that you can't take it with you. Because I've been actually feeling pretty good lately. It's just, I see the things rising up, but I also see when and what's causing them to rise up too. And I'm like, oh, let me destroy that. Let me destroy that. Let me destroy that. You're in a season of testing. Breathe through it. And this is what I will tell you. Be discerning. Discern what you're being tested in. If you're frustrated, ask yourself, why am I frustrated? Am I being tested? Is there something that I'm missing? What am I missing? Lord, what is it that I need to do? Most importantly, frustration, sit and pray. Pray in tongues if you have it, because usually the answer will clarify itself after you pray in tongues. Do a praise. Go into singing and praising. and you'll come into a state of peace. Then, if you're going through you discerning, wait, somebody's acting crazy in front of me. One, don't feed into it. The best thing that you could never do is don't feed into confusion when you start seeing it. Because a person that's going to start attacking, they can't do nothing when you don't engage them. When I had that horrible experience before I came back here, I realized what the person was doing every time they did it, and I'd just sit there and I would not give them the satisfaction of engaging their confusion. So they were just yelling, and I'm just sitting there looking at them like they crazy. Because if you don't engage, they will wear themselves out. And they'll either come back and apologize when they come to their own senses, or you'll be separated from that person. But you have to understand what spirit they're operating in. Go and pray against that spirit. Praise and speak in tongues, and the whole situation will alternate itself. But pass your test, whatever that test is, whether it's a financial test, whether it is a relational test, whether it is a living situation test, whether it is a family test, whatever that test is, pass your test. But 9 times out of 10, it's in the discernment, it's in the emotional ability of you to handle what you're seeing. Sometimes it's sleep deprivation, sometimes you're dealing with all these kinds of, you're being tested in all these areas, but you gotta recognize what it is that you're seeing, pause in that moment, stand still, recognize, and handle each situation accordingly, because you gotta realize this is just a test. All it is a test. Walk through it. I hope that helped you. This is Taj McCameron for the Seem to Live the Dream. Not to Seem to Live the Dream. That's my podcast. Go check out the podcast. This is Taj McCameron for the ministry. Until next time, bye-bye. Much love, faith, and blessings to you.